Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the DROP Sennheiser HD8xx, and these are my honest audiophile impressions. The DROP Sennheiser HD8xx. This will set you back $1,100 on Drop. Currently it is not available. You can request it. Not sure if it'll ever come back, but if it interests you, hit a request. And if Drop gets enough requests, they might bring it back. Comes in a pretty standard Sennheiser box, big and huge. Has some information on the front, and that's it. Then you get a really large storage box. This is pretty standard of Sennheiser as well. Has the logo, nothing else on it. Flip the lid, you're going to get a big huge manual, just like all other Sennheiser products. And then on the inside, you have a place for your cable and a place for your headphones, and that's it. You're also going to get a rather large but nice cable. This is 10 foot long, and I rather like this cable. I don't mind that it's long because I'm not going to use these portable everywhere I use them, which is just right here at the office. I can use the longer length to roll away from my desk and do other things. Rubber, proprietary connectors, and then it has a nice thick fabric covered cable that is nice and soft, with just enough stiffness to stay in control without being obnoxious. It's just a well-controlled cable. Very nice, light, no problems. Does terminate into a 1/4 inch. And then you get the headphone. The headphones have 56mm ring radiator dynamic drivers. They're 300 ohms, 103 decibels of sensitivity. They weigh 330 grams, and they have a frequency response of 5 Hz to 51 kilohertz. They're large, and they are extremely light. Well built. You do have the standard Sennheiser build here with plastic. But at the same time, it's like that durable plastic that if you really don't notice that it's plastic and that it's built. It just feels like it's high quality. In my opinion, it's just well built. Do be careful of the aluminum around the outside here, the drivers. They're very sensitive to like touch, and they're easy to dent and smear and things like that. So don't even put your hands near it if possible. You do have a little metal grill here. On the inside, you have some mesh, and there's a little Sennheiser logo on the inside. Extremely huge. Sliders. Very nice. And then as we hold that up to, if you can read that on camera, it says that it's DROP Sennheiser HD8xx, serial number 01075. Made in Germany. There are markings for the sliders, and they'll get rather large if you need to expand them out all the way. That's quite a large melon that they will cover, and I actually have to go fairly far. I have to go to the 6 clicks for my head, and I find that they're extremely comfortable. Very light. Yes, they take up your whole side of your face. They do put a little bit of pressure down here on the jawline, but I have no problems wearing glasses with them, and they absolutely isolate nothing. These are open, so open that you don't even notice that you have them on as far as blocking of outside noises. Cables can be a little bit hard to connect and disconnect, but you'll notice that the cables have an R on them, and then there's a little bit of a groove on one side. So you just line that up with the cup and push it in. And when you first get them, you may notice that they're a little hard to pull out, but holding it and then just pulling, you do have to give a little bit of a tug. It loosens up over time, and they just go in and out very easily. With the cable on, again, they're still extremely light because the cable is not very heavy whatsoever. Find that there's plenty of room to be able to move around and not get caught on your shirt. And then because they connect in the back and flow, they just stay out of the way. You don't have any cables right here. I really do enjoy the comfort of them. I can wear them for hours, and upon hours, no issues whatsoever with hot spots. I find that the headband has enough padding. I do wish it had just a little bit more, as it is a little bit thin, but it's no problems. And then the pads are thin, but yet soft. They're like this fabricy, velvety feel, and they don't collect hair as much as other Sennheisers, which is a nice thing. I have not tried pad rolling, as I'm very content with the sound with the stock pads, and the comfort is just great for me. Clamp force is just enough. All right, before we get into the sound, I do want to mention a few things about sources. So when I first got them, I was kind of like, yeah, pretty standard of what I remember hearing a 800-800S. Big, huge stage, a little bit light and airy, but there's something a little off. And so I started to think about and do a little bit of research. And I was like, these are based off of an 800S. Are they supposed to be the cheap alternative to an 800S, or are they supposed to be something different? And I quickly realized that the intention of Drop Sennheiser was not to make an 800S at a cheaper price tag, but it was to give a totally different variant of an 800-800S line at a cheaper price. And once I got the 800 and 800S kind of out of my mind and just started focusing on what is the tuning of the 8xx, it kind of came together. And then I started to really listen to sources and tried to find where they were happy and where they were the best. And the 8xx likes power. They are very content with being driven hard, and they really thrive at it. They scale very well with higher gear, but they also scale with power. And as I started using them on the Mytek Liberty DAC 2, the Headamp GSX Mini, DROP THX 1 Linear, Tor Audio Roger, and the Aueze Deckard, Aune X1S, SMSL HO100 and DO100, and several other things that I had, including a VE Megatron and dongles and all kinds of things. I tried everything. I realized that these are kind of source picky. And then, on top of that, they're very picky when it comes to music sources and music bit rates and sample rates. And I was really surprised at how much they will reveal in your library. If you have a library that is not very well recorded and mastered and mixed, you're not going to be happy with the 8xx. They sound really good with very well mastered, mixed music. And they will reveal your library's flaws very, very quickly. I want to thank my supporters on YouTube and on Patreon. I thank you very much for everything that you have provided, and the funding that you provided to the channel through your support of Patreon and YouTube memberships did help to supplement the purchase of the 8xx. So thank you very much for everything that you provide to the channel, and also for your love and support and just the sacrifices that you make of your own funding in order to give a little to the channel. Everything that you provide to the channel helps to bring in gear such as the 8XX to the channel to review and also to use as reference gear and comparisons. So thank you very much. If you're interested in becoming a patron or a YouTube member, there are links down below. Also, while you're down there, don't forget to give a thumbs up or thumbs down to the video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. All right, so the DROP Sennheiser HD8xx. As I mentioned earlier, it does have a tendency to desire better. It likes to be driven hard, and it likes to have quality music. When it comes to the sound, it is a unique variant of the 800 family. Now, I have not heard an 800 or an 800S in quite a long time. I haven't heard them since I was at an audio show in 2019. So, I will not be making direct comparisons. Here are the things that I remember about an 800S. With the 800S, I remember it has a massive, huge soundstage. Everything is just stretched, and it has huge depth and very good layering. Everything moves around the stage, but it had one little problem with it. It was a little bit too wide, and it just sounded a little bit like it was being boosted and fake in its presentation, but it was immersive. It also had a little bit of a lighter presentation when it came to note weight. And it had a lot of upper mids and treble presentation. And at times it could sound a little splashy, sibilant, and it did have moments of harshness. But overall, the presentation was very nice and very just wow factor. That's all I remember. 8XX. Let's start with the bass. Now, I wasn't expecting much when it came to the bass, and so I was like kind of surprised when I put them on my head the first time, and I was kind of like, yeah, these are actually a little less bass than I thought they were going to be. I thought that they were going to be boosted a little bit, but it's there, but it's not really. I kind of want a little bit more. And so I started to let them run, and I played them without listening to them. I played and played and played. I let them run for about 2 full weeks with just random popping them on my head, listening here or there. And then I started to notice a difference. And I don't normally believe in burn-in. I don't believe in break-in or whatever you want to call it. But I do believe that there is some time of things settling in and headphones taking a moment to accustomate themselves, I guess, to acclimate to their new surroundings. And after about 2 weeks of just letting these play every single day for hours on end while I was working in an overnight, and they probably got about 100 hours on them. And I started to notice that the bass started to come in. And keep in mind, I was only listening for 10, 15 minutes here, 10, 15 minutes there. I wasn't listening to them nonstop. And the bass started to fill in a little bit. And I noticed that it wasn't as lean and kind of just anemic. It was actually having some punch and slam and a little bit of girth and a little bit of body to it. And so as time went along, the 8XX started to become enjoyable in the bass. There was a slight warmth to it. It was very wide and very well extended. Now, does it have that sub bass rumble? No, but it is present in a very subtle way. Mid bass and upper bass, it's more prominent. It does have a more mid bass focus, and it has a good punch to it and a nice slam to it, and it has good dynamics within the bass. The tonality is accurate, and the timbre is pristine. Everything just sounds accurate and true. Do I wish that it had just a little bit more? Sure. Wish I had a little bit more note weight? Sure. But what you get is very detailed, very clean, very clear, and very accurate. And I really do enjoy the bass now that some time has come on these headphones. Then, the mids. The mids are natural sounding. There's an accuracy to the tone and to the timbre. There's good separation of notes. There's good isolation of instruments and vocalists, and everything just kind of plays together within their own little space, and you can really dissect the stage within the mids, and everything just sounds true. I do wish that, just like the bass, that it had just a little bit more of note weight. I wish that there was just a little bit more. And yes, there is a little bit of thinness in the uppers, but to me it's not offensive. To me it's not like, oh, these things are awful, they're all sucked out, they're recessed, and there's this big huge dip. No, it's just that it's a little bit more thin, but a little bit more pushed forward, and it's to me it's all right. It doesn't sound unbalanced and lacking cohesion. To me, they are balanced and cohesive, and I find that they have a natural, realistic representation of a stage for the mids. Treble. Treble is still elevated. These are a little bit more of the sparkle and energy side of things, but unlike what I remember from the 800-800S line, they are slightly tamed, and they have a little bit more of a sweetness to the approach and a little bit more pleasantness. They're not as bold and as aggressive and forceful and forced like the 800-800S's. It's a more pleasing treble. And so I find that overall in the frequency response that the bass, mids, and treble are very cohesive and balanced and very pleasant sounding, and I actually would prefer the 8xx of the 800 line. I find it to be the more pleasing, more musical, and more enjoyable of the ones. But again, keep in mind, I have not heard the others since 2019. Soundstage. Now, the soundstage of the 8xx is large. Everything sounds huge. Width, massive. Size of the elements inside it, huge. Depth, massive. Movement, imaging, placement, everything is precise and tracks across. It's a very pinpoint accurate stage, and it's a very fun and engaging. Compared to the others, from what I remember of the 800 and 800S, the 8xx actually is a little bit better at sounding more natural and accurate in stage sizes, because it doesn't try to blow everything out and make it huge and massively wide every single time. It can get a little bit more small and a little bit more accurate in representing a studio or a hall or a auditorium or a stadium. It does a little bit better in portraying the actual venues. Tone and timbre. The tone and timbre of the 8xx is crazy good. Very natural and accurate. I do wish that there was just a little bit more note weight, but overall I find it to be a very pleasing, natural, and accurate tone and timbre. And then detail, retrieval, and resolution is phenomenal. You're not going to miss anything with these. They're very revealing, and they do a very good job of resolving what they reveal. And it's crazy the amount of details that you get, and it's crazy how good and accurate and realistic it is. And they do a very good job of presenting the details. So, the 8xx, crazy good. I love them. I think very highly of them, and I'm very pleased with them. I have no issues with comfort, build, or sound. How do they compare to the Hifi Min Aria Stealth? Now, the Hifi Min Aria Stealth is planar, is open back. Comfort is a little tighter on your head, metal, little bit more clamp force on the Aria Stealth, still light, and I find them to be extremely comfortable as well. Sound-wise, the Aria Stealth will sound a little bit on the more warm side and a little bit more intimate. They will sound a slight bit more small on stage, but yet they still have a big stage, and yet they still have really good imaging and width and depth. Everything about it is very accurate and true as well. It's just a little bit smaller and doesn't sound quite as large and lifelike as it does on the 8XX. Bass wise, the Aria Stealth has more oomph. It has more girth to things, and there's a little bit more note weight and just a little bit more authority, and it does reach down and give you a little bit more rumble and grumble down into sub bass. In the mids, unlike the 8XX, the mids of the Aria Stealth are slightly boosted in the uppers, and they're a little bit more bold and in your face, whereas on the 8XX they're a little bit back and a little bit thinner. They get a little bit bigger on the Aria Stealth, and then the treble is a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more bold and enforced on the Aria Stealth, but they're both very well controlled and very pleasant to listen to. Which one do I prefer? I actually prefer the 8XX. I like the Aria Stealth, but the 8XX for me does a little bit better job with detail retrieval and resolution, and also does a little bit better with sounding more natural and accurate in the soundstage. The 8XX to me is amazingly good and surprisingly musical and pleasing. And I truly do enjoy it. And if you want to really enhance the experience, put it on tubes. And then it really comes alive. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching. And I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. And don't forget to hit the subscription button and notification bell. Down below, there's links for all kinds of things in regards to how you can contact the channel, follow the channel, support the channel. Music recommendations and gear rankings and all kinds of other things are down below, so check out those links. And then don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.